Now, here's something to think about when it comes to your organization in the cloud. What if your organization must meet a lot of compliance requirements due to laws or regulations? This could be a real challenge, especially if you're engaging in public cloud, because you need to make sure that public cloud vendor can adhere to that compliance. Otherwise, you're going to violate the compliance when you use that cloud vendor. So what would be an example of such compliance requirements? Well, how about the PCI DSS? This would be the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. And with this kind of compliance, we would have to be taking credit card payments, for instance, and we would, in order to meet compliance requirements, have to be able to pass a network vulnerability scan with approved software for the PCI DSS. And this is an example of something we would have to work with on our cloud provider to make sure we're in compliance. Now, I listed some components here that are related to compliance that I'd like you to think about in this area. Compliance often has to do with your risk management approach, because one of the risks is that you fall out of compliance with the regulations that you're supposed to be in compliance with. So please consider this as you're doing risk management when you're thinking about cloud. Also, auditing typically gets involved here because we're going to be auditing ourselves against the public cloud vendor to make sure we're in compliance. This certainly impacts security, as we just described. Many times we have to do vulnerability scanning, or we have to be adhering to certain procedures in order to be in compliance, and then that has to do with our security posture. There's service level agreements that could tie in here. And finally, this often relates to proper licensing of the software that you're utilizing in your cloud implementation. Now, there are two final points that I want to make here. Point number one is that while we tend to talk about compliance issues with cloud in a public cloud sphere, keep in mind that when you're moving to private cloud technologies, you're still going to be needing to ensure that you are in full compliance with the appropriate laws and regulations. Also, when it comes to the big cloud vendors like Amazon Web Services, for instance, notice this isn't their first rodeo. They're going to be able to provide you with detailed information on your ability to meet the compliance that you might need to meet. So while compliance adds complexity to our cloud integration potentially, it shouldn't kill it. I mean, you could see that being the case if someone were uneducated about cloud technologies. You could see a CIO, a chief information officer, saying, oh, yep, nope, can't do cloud. We have too many compliance requirements that we have to deal with. Fortunately, there are solutions in such an environment. I hope you found this informative, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.